want to hear some of that techno music?
You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. Season 8, Episode 303.
Describing alien greys, social media outage week, Venus Flytrap Poachers, and murder spell for hire.
Yeah. So here we are. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. Glad you're here. If it's your very first time listening, glad you're here as well.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and this particular podcast is about all sorts of stuff that we want to talk about. Just in case you didn't know what every podcast is about. Right? So anyway, I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
And we're going to roll into it. This is Season 8, the Ocho, Episode 303, and we found some interesting things that we think that you guys would like to hear about.
Sure.
And if you don't, that's okay too.
Yeah.
So we do appreciate it. But if you decide that you do want to interact with us, the podcast, have a couple different ways you can do that. We have a telephone number that you can call and leave a message.
That phone number is going to be 575-208-4025.
Yeah.
You can also find us on social media. We pretty much have a presence on every single platform, but we are trying to get our Facebook group to grow. You can find it real easy, CreepGeeks Facebook group, and just join and start participating. That's
right. So anyway, here we go. Just to kind of give you an idea, we broadcast paranormal news and share our strange experiences from our underground bunker in the mountains of western North Carolina.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna talk about some stuff here, right? So we'd like to kind of do some news, and then we'll do a little story action. So I found some interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is sort of a continuation of something we've talked about in the past. Basically, the past couple episodes ago, we talked about some internet outages that were happening.
Yeah.
And that, oh, hey guys, it's not suspicious. It's just an outage.
Yeah.
And what happened right after that?
So that was with regards to, I guess, AT&T and a couple of cell phone providers.
Yeah.
Well, literally the next week or so, everybody on Super Tuesday, mind you, which was,
coincidental, maybe.
All Meta products went down. And it started with people having issues logging into Facebook, basically being told that they couldn't sign in or log in. Then people forcibly being kicked out of Instagram, and it spread. Facebook, Threads, Instagram, everybody was having problems. The only thing that got reported was it's an outage.
Yeah. Well, even YouTube started having problems the next day or two later. So. And
see, that's the thing. The original article you were going to share was originally just about Facebook and Meta products. Yeah. Well, okay. So immediately after Meta products went down, the day after, LinkedIn went down.
Yep.
So on Wednesday, LinkedIn experienced multiple outages. The downtime lasted for around an hour, and during that, users had problems accessing either the mobile app or the web browser. And just like Facebook did the day before, they went on X to let everybody know.
Yep.
So there's a trend going on here. Now, after that went down, on Thursday, people were experiencing YouTube and Reddit outages. Everybody on Reddit was having serious trouble trying to get Reddit to load. So Reddit was good about it. They went on X. They posted multiple updates as to several different issues that were causing slow load times. I do appreciate Reddit being more transparent about what was going on, but still, we don't have the true cause to all of these outages.
And we won't. As a matter of fact, I got on YouTube yesterday, actually this morning, about 3 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
And it popped up and basically asked me if I was having problems with my homepage. Were the things that I wanted to see on my homepage correct?
Yeah.
Did the titles match the videos? Just like weird stuff like that. And before I screen captured it, because I didn't, because I was a moron.
Yeah.
I answered, it was great or whatever, and then it went on. And I should have captured that because I've never seen that with YouTube. I've been on YouTube forever.
Oh.
I mean, it was a pop-up. It was like, you're not going to look at anything on your homepage until you answer this question, because there was problems with YouTube as well.
See, I've had that pop up, but I was logged in through like an account manager.
Yeah, this was strange.
For
And I was
social
like, what?
media
And then
stuff.
it even asked, hey, are you seeing videos and suggestions on your homepage from videos you've seen in the past? And I had that happen. I'm like, I have seen all these videos a month ago. It was like my homepage was captured in time over a month ago.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there thinking about it. And yeah, you have an obvious conspiracy, like, oh, they're doing it for whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a cyber attack.
Oh, it's
what
Super
if,
Tuesday. Yeah.
What if all these properties, they all share the same core AI? Because one company created it or whatever, and they basically sold flavors, customized flavors to other properties, and these properties have customized it themselves, and now it's getting wildly out of control, and they've all tried to dial it back a little bit, and it's causing problems. What if they're ripping the AI out by the roots? Because, I mean, when you have suggestions of videos and things like that that you watch, and nothing is right, and everything starts going wrong, and it's all a problem of scale. There is not like a million people that can, that work with the social media companies and doing this with videos and stuff. It's impossible. It's just too much. So they run these algorithms, and the algorithm says, "Hey, this and this and this. You're going to see this, and this is what you want to see." And all that. What if all that's broken? There's been many people complaining on YouTube that they post a video and get 6 views. Mm-hmm. The same video 3 or 4 months ago would get them 1,000 views, and they're like, "What is going on?" And then people are like, well, you got to try this and you got to do that. And and it's January, February, March. It's the slow times for YouTube and getting in. And that's complete horse crap. Something's wrong. I even had problems with our bank account trying to get on. It wouldn't let me on.
Well,
I'm like, all right.
That was something we weren't going to share, but there's been multiple articles about various banking outlets going down. Yeah. And the thing that sticks through all of this that I wanted to point out, especially with the social media. So we had Meta products, Facebook, Instagram, Threads. Then we had, LinkedIn. Then we had Reddit. Then we even had the Truth social media app that some people use. That went down. Throughout all of this, X continued to run.
Yep.
And on top of that, X was the platform everybody used to share updates to each other.
Guess what other social media product didn't have any issues?
What?
TikTok.
Yeah.
And now there's a ban. There was a ban put forward a while ago. Then they sort of got voted on, and we're going to suspend that. And then 4, 5, 6 months later, or whatever it is, now they're trying to do it again. And it looks like it might go through.
Went through the House. We're waiting on the Senate, which is annoying because, I mean,
well, it's problematic.
So, yeah.
I was going to say it's problematic because if you look at it from 1,000-foot view, TikTok does nothing different than Facebook and Instagram and YouTube than they all do. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
But why are they being singled out? And this was brought about by Zuckerberg, who brought it to all his buddies. He was like, hey, guys, look what they're doing, because that's a big competitor for Facebook. Mm-hmm. When Zuckerberg is just as guilty with Facebook.
Yeah.
YouTube doesn't care. YouTube's like, we're doing shorts. We don't give a crap. We're going to keep rolling on through it. Yeah. And neither does Google or Alphabet or anybody else like that. So this is a thing where a lot of people get their news from TikTok.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, good or bad. I mean, if you want to hear about stuff and think these people are completely nuts, there is no other place better than a flat earther can put their opinion forward than TikTok. I'm serious.
Reddit.
Well, Reddit's you have to be a member of the exclusive Flat Earther Club. It's like, can I join your subreddit? Whatever.
But here's the thing, like TikTok, yes, it's been an incredible source of information for me. It's been a great platform for me to try to cultivate and grow certain things, like some of the clients I have. But behind the scenes, like just everyday usage, it is convenient and it is easy. Now, I used to completely just stay away from Twitter and X. And it's only been the past couple months I've had to rely on it because I didn't like the toxicity of the paranormal community. And you can listen to 100 other podcasts about the toxicity of paranormal community and UFO community on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, and we've said and done our piece about that. It's just incredibly on there. But it's been a very good platform for me to at least get news. And I can find all sorts of news. I can find news with a bias, without a bias, slanted news. I can find news in general on on Twitter, X.
Yep.
And now now if we're facing, you know, stuff against TikTok, it's going to make me go back to X as much as I don't like
You'll be fine.
I know.
You act like it. You'll be fine.
It's just gross on there sometimes.
Well, it's just stupid that, you know, and I get, there's so much misinformation about social media platforms in general that come from people that are, you know, senators, and we've pointed out senators and congressmen, they really don't know how social media works.
Yeah.
At least, you know, the ones that are spearheading and being the mouthpiece for it. It's like, okay, I have a problem with that. If you're, especially when it comes to technology just in general, it's more of a personal pet peeve. It's like, if you can't answer your phone, send a message, send a text, do just the basic everyday stuff, then you should not talk about technology, because somebody is feeding you the information so that you can speak about it. And what if they don't know what they're talking about? Or even worse, what if they have an agenda?
Yeah.
And then you're up there going, so if I log in to Facebook, can Mark Zuckerberg see me in my underwear? And it's like, what? Is it reading my face every time? And it's like, okay, you don't understand how facial recognition works.
Yeah.
You know, have you never seen like one episode of NCIS from like 2003 where the you know, goes up and little laser beams come out and scratches retina?
And
it's just, it's silly.
They're trying to say that it's, you know, in pursuit of safety and securing America and the younger generation, all this other stuff. Those seem to be a lot of the slants. But if you look at it and things like, what do you call it? Swatting or stalking and things like that, those are occurring on the other platforms.
Well, what if it's even more nefarious sort of conspiracy where the ban for TikTok didn't happen last time and they were hardcore about trying to make it happen? Yeah. So what if now everything is being taken down and almost like it's being cyber attacked to make sure that everybody's scared? We're going, oh my God, the internet's being compromised. Let's spread the rumors of cyber attacks so that we can go ahead and make sure the ban for TikTok bill gets pushed through. But
see, then why?
Because it started with Facebook.
Why didn't all these articles flat out say cyber attack?
Because why? Why would they?
All of them said outage.
Yeah, because they say, well, hey guys, it wasn't a cyber attack because they said it was an outage. Mm-hmm. Okay, that means you have to trust the people putting out the press release. Yeah. You have to trust Facebook at its word saying, but yes, we had an outage.
You just said, why didn't they just start saying cyber attack? That would truly scare us.
Because that would scare us for everything internet related. We want to make sure that you're scared about social media stuff.
Then that should have been cyber attacks against.
Because it's just inferred. Yeah, but they wouldn't put it out there blatant like that because people would say, oh yeah, all right.
And then they would have said, oh no, it was just
an outage. So you cannot take
banking.
I understand what you're trying to say. But they would never, because if they said, okay, we're having a cyber attack, that would basically cause the people that use the product to lose faith in it. And if they lose faith in it, then it's going to drive people away from the platform that they're trying to keep on the platform. If your bank came out and said, hey guys, we've been cyber attacked 15 times, you're not going to stay.
Yeah, but
if you say, hey, we're having outages and we're not sure why, then what are you going to start thinking?
But that just contradicts your argument about.
I don't think you get what I'm trying to say. You can't, it's called the okie doke. We'll say one thing and let you infer, oh, something else is occurring here. And then you'll go that way and miss the obvious thing right in front of you.
But then they'd infer it across the board.
They don't have to infer it across the board. What happens? Facebook has a problem. Threads has a problem. Instagram has a problem.
TikTok didn't.
TikTok is the only one that didn't have a problem. Oh, they must be the guys that are doing all this. It must be China. China is the one that's not allowed. They're cyber attacking us. I just know it. We better ban them guys. Do you understand what I'm saying now?
Remotely.
It's all a diversionary tactic. I can say one thing. It's like, let's use the UFO thing.
But then,
hey guys, let's not call them UFOs. Let's call them UAPs. Those bastards know there's UFOs. Why are we calling it this? It must be an okie doke. Let's figure out, let's run off down this way. And the goal was what? We need more money. We need more money for drones. We need more money for military technology. We need more money. So what do? It makes it real easy to approve defense spending bills when all of a sudden there's something we don't know what it is, guys. It's unknown technology to us, and it seems like it can do anything it wants, and it's better than the technology that we currently have. Now, the person that hates defense spending is like, we need to look into this, guys. We need to make sure we got some money. Let's go ahead and set up a satellite network that runs basically along the coast so that we can see these low-flying drones coming in.
But then everybody would have left AT&T last week and
where are you going to go? There's nowhere you could leave to.
T-Mobile
most people are under
Sprint.
contracts. They're not going to leave.
Or
Oh, hey,
most
you
people
can
would
come over to T-Mobile, baby. You know what you got to do? Give us some money for a phone. Let's activate the program. Nobody does that. It's an inconvenience. Because what do people that have AT&T say? Figures, AT&T sucks.
If we're going to use the pretense of if you're the only one not having an outage, you're the guilty party, then
Verizon didn't have a problem.
yeah,
AT&T, they had a problem,
why didn't
right?
people
Because Verizon is already trash. They're all trash. T-Mobile's trash. AT&T's trash. Verizon's trash. I'm really surprised we didn't see any kind of like videos come out from Ryan. What's his name? Ryan.
Reynolds.
Yeah, Deadpool.
Yeah.
Coming out going, hey guys, come on over to us. We're doing just fine over here. It's like, because you rent airspace, dude. You rent the space from the towers, right? You're a little rental company when that's what they all do. But that's the thing. If these guys are playing 3-dimensional chess, this is what you do.
Yeah, but then why aren't we seeing movements to ban Twitter and TikTok?
Because the one that's succeeding the most out of all of them is actually TikTok. And TikTok is the most threat because basically you can say what you think on TikTok to a certain degree. You could not do that with Facebook. You can't do that with Google. You can't do that. Yes, you can. You can do it now with Twitter.
No, that's what I said. I said, why aren't they going after
because
X?
Elon Musk will tell you to F off like he told Disney. He's a wild card. He basically said, what do you got? You can't hold anything over me. I don't care about your advertising. And people are still advertising. Companies are still advertising. People that are like, I'm leaving Twitter. And it's like, go ahead and announce your departure. He doesn't care, and people really
So you're
aren't
saying
leaving.
The government is going after TikTok.
No, I'm saying
continue.
that Facebook is continuing its assault against TikTok and is getting more steam. It didn't
Through
work
the
the first time.
government.
Yeah. It's called lobbyist. You act like you don't know how lobbyism works, man. That's what they
Saying
do.
Pretty.
Okay. Facebook has already been proven to basically do this. They've lobbied extensively to have TikTok brought. We talked about it in great and agonizing detail. And it didn't work. It's going to work this time. And let's do it during election year. Let's make sure it gets banned before election time so that nobody can see any commercials or express opinions or whatever for both sides.
I don't know. I don't think it.
I do.
Because especially with.
It seems awfully convenient.
If they were weighing the heaviness or weight of the consequences or impact of like a social media platform, I kind of think TikTok is not as heavy hitter as the traditional platforms for voting age people. Because, and honestly, the way we're going to work.
They've got like 140 billion users.
Voting age Americans.
Okay.
Is what I'm asking.
But
so
like that matters.
It does. If you're saying Facebook.
Okay, but how does influence work?
Hmm?
How does influence work?
If a perception is continually stressed,
let's look at it like this. Mm-hmm. Let's say we have a bunch of social media platforms and they're all for the Democrats, and we have a bunch of social media platforms and they're all for the Republicans. Because we don't have to factor in everybody on earth, right? We only have to factor in the voters. Let's say that the one side, let's say Republicans or whatever, has TikTok, 140 billion users. And let's say 60% of those people like conservative stuff.
okay,
Now let's look at all the other platforms put together. And they have, let's say, 200 billion users. But only 20% of them like conservative stuff. And then the assumption would be 80% of the people who are there, left over, are going to go for Democrat stuff. You still have a great disparity in the numbers. I think TikTok has more influence, regardless of whether it's politics or whatever, than the rest of them almost combined.
Because, okay, you can say values and political stance. It comes down to, are those voters and are they registered voters and do they actually vote? And when it comes to TikTok demographics do not suggest these people are activists. or voters or actually get out and make that type of impact. TikTok is more of a consumer platform.
They're all consumer platforms. And here's the deal. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't work that way.
Okay.
You have just as many people.
I get reports monthly.
From people, okay, you get reports from people who say, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. There's just as many who scroll on and are not going to tell anybody what they're going to do. And I'll give you an example. When the president was elected, President Trump, people on TV and social media were absolutely freaking shocked that he won. Because all their information, all the exit polls, all the social media stuff basically said Trump was losing terribly, and he actually won because people kept their mouth shut and went and voted. The people that participated said one thing, and that's only a small sampling of everybody who was going to vote. If you ask 10 people and 8 of them say, I'm going to vote this way, but there's 1,000 people that you didn't ask, and those 990 other people vote another way, guess what happens?
And
you're shocked.
Do those 1,000 people, do that 991 people, do they actually have a TikTok account? That comes down to demographics.
It comes down to how are they being influenced, where they're getting their media from.
And it's not from TikTok.
It's not all from TikTok. You act like it has to be directly from TikTok. That's not how this works.
It is.
It's obviously, listen, no, it doesn't, because it's obviously as much of a threat to have that one platform banned when all the rest of them do exactly the same thing. Why is that one platform the one that's being banned? That one platform is now why you have shorts. It's now why you have reels. It's now why you have short form content on all the other platforms. You know why? Because that one has set everything on fire.
Yes, with every other aspect.
It doesn't matter. It's an influence. That influence is a wide influence.
Just like in the mid 2010s, when Facebook started to take into account other aspects and other demographics like voting and activism, or Facebook community boost for nonprofits, their engagement with their users started to drop. As soon as TikTok shifts towards that type of activism, it's going to drop.
Why did it drop?
The concept in general for both the major parties in the United States is unappealing.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. I'm here to be entertained.
I'm here to be
Or
entertained.
I don't want to support whatever it is you're trying to get me to support. It's the same thing with everything.
Yeah.
Maybe people didn't want to see that content. Maybe they weren't there for that. You never know. It all goes, you see, that's the whole thing about the entire thing is you're trying to influence one person and you're hoping you get lucky if you do it. And there's so many different factors involved. I think the idea behind TikTok scares Facebook, who lost tons of money.
Yeah.
Tons of money. Not just like, oh, hey guys, we dropped a couple $100 million. Dude lost billions of dollars. So, of course, he needs to lobby to get it banned. What better way to take out your competition? And now you can say, I'm not sure what all these outages were about. And they seem to be coming from China, but they're not saying that because then that would be basically obvious. I see what's going on. Let's get a platform banned because they're your competition. And you said they're coming from China, and ByteDance owns TikTok and they're from China. I see what you're doing. But you can't be that obvious about it.
And in some instances, I do think you need to be that obvious. Otherwise,
yeah, but if you're that obvious, guess what happens?
I mean, like in all the IT groups, we've all been making jokes that, what actually happened was the dude who's been doing maintenance and patch updates for past 12 years got fired, and now some new
took the passwords with them. Or we get all that, but
thing. And I'm still.
I think if they're obvious, it opens the door. If you're that obvious, or you make the inference that becomes a clear,
and if
you become open to litigation.
Yeah.
You just got to infer.
But you can also be open to litigation if you did say it was either a cyber attack or just an outage, because an outage impacts work and function.
I know that. I get it.
But what I'm finding...
It's just a conspiracy.
If we get back onto the conspiracy, this whole TikTok ban, it's funny, there is a quote from this congressman that says, support for the TikTok bill is an IQ test. And I'm like, you are absolutely right.
It's absolutely insulting.
Because,
It's an IQ test for them. It's not an IQ test for the user.
and he's also basically saying he would never fund any candidates or leadership PACs who vote against TikTok legislation. And I'm like,
Why would he say that?
because they need to stop doing business in the U.S. So
I wonder why he's saying that. He got handed a postcard, but he got handed a brochure
yeah,
that some little knucklehead put on his desk and said, hey, man, this is the reason why we need to ban this or support this. And where did that come from?
yeah.
Some lobbyist slipped some people some information and say, hey, here's your talking points, brother. Make sure you pass these along.
Yeah, Keith Raboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing is it's all trash. And there's enough conspiracies to go around.
Yeah.
The worst thing would be if it really is a cyber attack. And it'd be an automated cyber attack. That would be the most terrible thing.
Which was what I was more focused on, because all last week I was like, okay.
Right, but what happened? What happens to shift that? It's an outage. It's possibly a cyber attack. Oh, by the way, let's go ahead and vote and get rid of Facebook. No, let's get rid of TikTok. It seems like we have too many coincidences that occur right before something happens. Some people would call this kind of like a false flag type thing. It's really a diversionary tactic.
See, that's what when they describe like end time scenarios and stuff, even like the videos we watch on YouTube where they're like rolling media blackouts. Well, what they're not taking into account is that traditional rolling media blackouts now includes rolling social media blackouts or outages, as we're calling them. That's what I'm thinking, as opposed to,
Well, I mean, if you want to pacify a nation, there's a book on it. You can read it, and that's what people are doing. It's like, let's go ahead and take away weapons. Let's spread misinformation. And then let's take away the creature comforts to make sure people are uncomfortable.
I'm just
and scared. So anyway, it is what it is. I think it's too circumspect to be a coincidence. I think we've got a lot of crap piling on, and eventually you just need to start clearing some stuff out, man. It's time to take out some of the clutter. Let's get the trash out. Let's start up there and where our politicians and stuff are. Let's limit some terms. Let's get some new people in there. Let's get a couple other parties to choose from. It's like going into, let's pick a fast food place that may not listen to us. Let's go to Pizza Hut, and you got two types of pizza. You know what I mean? One with garbage pineapple and one with garbage anchovies. Pick which one you want. Those are the two choices you have. Oh, we had a special on a nice pepperoni supreme pizza, but it didn't make the cut, so you don't get to choose that. Now you're down to these two garbage pizzas. You know what I mean? It's trash. Some things need to happen. So anyway, if you've been listening to the podcast, we've been talking about all sorts of random stuff, and I forgot what we were talking about. Oh, it was related to the Facebook, Instagram, and the worldwide outages.
Yeah.
So social media's had a bad week, but this kind of goes back to something we talked about in 2018. The monoliths came back.
2018?
Yeah.
I thought it was 2020.
No, we talked about it in 2018. They started popping up in 2018. The monoliths just randomly showing up in weird places, like staying there. One was in the desert, right?
Yeah.
One showed up in New Mexico, like in the city, like in a park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember the stainless steel monoliths? And then they showed up for a while, and then they just sort of disappeared. Excuse me. Well, evidently one of them's back on a Welsh hill.
I can't find anything before 2020.
Yep, 2018.
Okay.
They became super popular in 2020 because there was more than one, and they were stainless. There was monoliths that were slowly appearing all over the place. The ones that got the TV coverage and the, oh my gosh, what is this coverage, have been the stainless steel monoliths that are like 10 foot tall.
I'm fact checking right now.
You can fact check all you want. Anyway, a mysterious 10-foot tall metal monolith has appeared in Wales.
Okay.
There it is. Don't know what it's going to do or what it's all about, because we actually talked about that, and we also talked about the Georgia Guidestones, which got blown up, and nobody seemed to care. They got physically blown up, and nobody cared. They didn't investigate anymore. They just bulldozed them and took them away. Somebody blew up a monument, and nobody said anything. They don't care. Yeah. Why is that?
Oh, and the town voted against, trying to restore them.
Yeah, because it was going to take town money, and town money didn't make it in the first place.
Yeah.
But the idea that somebody could blow something up and you don't get investigated? There's no investigation about it? Somebody used explosives to blow up a granite structure. You could take those explosives somewhere else and blow up something that's less solidly built. Wouldn't that be dangerous? I would want to know who's making loud boom noises in my town. You know what I mean? Maybe you can put them on a list or something. Say, let's keep an eye out for this dude. Likes to blow stuff up. So yeah, evidently a jogger stumbled across the mysterious monolith and suspected it was some kind of weird, mysterious scientific instrument. Probably because it was stainless steel and smooth. But his assessment quickly changed when he got a closer look at the item using. It's like, it was way too tall and strange to be a scientific instrument.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It does look very similar to the ones that started popping up in 2020.
Yeah.
Except a lot of the ones in 2020 didn't have that smooth face that slanted.
Yeah. Angular.
Yeah, the angular.
So maybe it's a copycat.
Yeah.
Art installation type thing. I'd be more freaked out if it looked like the ones from 2000 A Space Odyssey and all that. Been around forever. All right, so there we go. There's a list of mystery monoliths and all the stuff that we talk about on the podcast is available for you to peruse at your leisure. Go to our website, CreepGeeks.com, if you want. Check it out there.
You know, there was one that was spotted in western North Carolina, and it was spotted in Burke County.
Yeah.
So somebody took a picture of it, and people actually left work during the pandemic or rushed down there and went to check it out.
And then somebody took it.
Only to find out it was 9 inches tall. And it was a perspective shot.
We're going to go check this out.
Because they had copied it, because the original ones from 2020 had the swirly fingerprint, buffing motion, design on them.
Yeah.
It looked like a buffed type, almost like if you took a greasy finger and rubbed it on a shiny elevator door pattern. So somebody copied that to the T, but they made it under a foot tall. And then they took the Instagram picture laying down, and they were like, this just dropped in Burke County, North Carolina, and people took off work to go see it.
That's ridiculous.
Only to find out
they've been duped.
It was
That's like that lady that sued a bar that she worked at because there was a contest, and the winner got a Toyota. Mm-hmm. And so they gave her a toy Yoda. She wanted a truck.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're getting me a truck because I've been misled.
Yeah.
She didn't get a truck.
Well, it was just amazing because when you got there, you realized it was actually in one of the little street side flower garden things. So it was pretty much sticking out of a flower pot almost. Yeah.
So I've got a new fear.
Yes.
I've had lots of fears that have been actualized. Different, levels of discomfort I thought I'd never have to go through that I've had to go through. Right. This is one that I don't want. And this is the fear of going to a hotel, and presumably an okay, nice hotel, and then getting in bed and being attacked. This guy was basically attacked by a scorpion.
That's not cool.
And guess where?
In the pants.
Yes, right.
Yes. That's horrible.
So the man says he was stung, I don't know if I want to say it, stung on his testicles by a scorpion while sleeping in a Las Vegas resort.
Oh, gosh. It just felt like somebody stabbing me in my private area, says Farchi, Michael Farchi of Agora Hills. Woke up in excruciating pain during his stay at the resort. It felt like sharp glass or a knife. Went to the restroom and saw a scorpion hanging on my underpants.
Hanging off.
Oh, no, this quote
hanging
says
off is under, well, there's a picture that you could look at.
It says hanging on my underwear. Afterward, the man and his family checked out early. 1 day later, the hotel compensated him for his room.
Well, evidently Farchi and his attorney shared photos of the orange scorpion on his underwear. And when asked, if he knew how the scorpion got into his hotel room, the California man said, I don't know. I didn't even ask how it got in a hotel room. It was there. It was just under my cover. So if we ever stay at a hotel room again, we got to break out the black light because those things fluoresce in the dark. And just to make sure that it's not a random scorpion. It's not a very big scorpion. Mm-hmm. It's big enough.
Yeah.
You know, we lived in New Mexico, and they're out there, and Arizona's got them too, and you sweep them out of the garage or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's in a hotel room, man. It's in your bed. You think, how did it get in there?
And that's the thing.
I mean, I know it's the desert, so somebody carried it in there somehow in a backpack or luggage or. But man, it's just, you check for all that stuff, right? What do you check for when you go to a hotel room? Towels. Bugs.
Yep.
Cameras.
Working AC.
Air conditioning.
And unfortunately, I have had to learn this, that the bed is not messed up.
Yes.
So, yeah. Checked into a place once only to find that it was pet friendly, and the previous occupants of that room, the pet had soiled the bed.
Blame it on the pet.
And the cleaning people only put clean sheets, just threw the clean sheets on the bed, didn't even check. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why I will pull back the sheets and covers.
And I bring that
when we leave.
I bring that bed bug spray with us everywhere we go.
Well, of course, because that's evidently an epidemic, but it's on the East Coast. But I always mess the beds up. And I know people are like, well, if you're not even going to use it, why'd you mess the bed up? It's because if I didn't mess it up and somebody else didn't mess it, who knows, man? Yeah. It's better just to go ahead and.
So this article shows a slideshow of this scorpion. And the last or middle image shows the size of the scorpion in comparison to the underpants in question. And the scorpion looks, I mean, it's not tiny, but I wonder if this got picked up in the tread of somebody's boots.
I don't know. I'm going to have to look now. Yeah. And what the easiest way to do is, and this serves two purposes, is use the black light. Because the scorpions will fluoresce and become bright and obvious, and so will everything else you don't ever want to see in a hotel room.
Remember when we went to Rockhound and you threw the black light out? And not only did it light up all the rocks I was looking for, but it also showed us just how many scorpions were at Rockhound.
Yep, that's why we bought that black light.
Yeah.
You said, oh, it'd be cool to look at rocks. I'm like, no, I want to see all the scorpions that are in the freaking desert when you get out in the middle of the night to go take your dog to use the bathroom. It'd be good to know where they all are. Because there's seasons.
Yep.
You got tumbleweed season. You got scorpion season.
Rattlesnake
season.
Waking up season.
Yeah. Well, I just assumed that there was a rattlesnake under every shady spot anywhere you could be in the desert. Because there is. Hey, there's a signpost that tells me how far I got to walk and sweat in my own eyes. And you look underneath there, hey, that's a snake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. My new fear is a hotel fear, and I'm going to start checking for scorpions regardless of the hotel. I'm going to check for scorpions. I'm going to check for snakes in toilets.
Yeah.
All the terrible stuff. So you should too.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, moving back in the podcast, we need to talk about this. This is some Venus flytrap poachers. And the reason why I put this in here is because we had actually talked about this, about mushrooms. Mm-hmm. And you can't take mushrooms from certain places because, and not just because it's a park or whatever, or a state park or whatever. Because my thought was, oh, you could take one home with you, right? But then your thought was like, no, people they get all these mushrooms and they sell them, and then you have to go buy them somewhere else. So it becomes an endeavor, a moneymaker, a profit sort of situation, right? And then what about Venus flytraps? For people that don't know, North Carolina, believe it or not, grows a ton of Venus flytraps.
Yes, in
fact. Like if you get a Venus flytrap, it's more than likely from North Carolina.
Yeah, a majority of all Venus flytraps, retail or wholesale, over 80% come from North Carolina.
Which you wouldn't think would come from Carolina, but
specifically, almost 50% of that 80% comes from eastern North Carolina, which is where they are actually from. So it's like mid-coastal Carolina, North Carolina, and South Carolina.
Kind of get into that little swampy type area.
Yeah, so
authorities in North Carolina have obtained arrest warrants for 2 people poaching in a poaching case involving hundreds of Venus flytraps, which basically grow naturally in the eastern part of the state, like you were saying. And the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission obtained the arrest warrants, right? And these people are accused of stealing nearly 600 of these rare plants from conservation land in the Boiling Springs, North Carolina area.
This says here, they only grow naturally within a 100-mile radius of Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Says NCWRC. This time of year, they start to bud their flowers, which makes them easier to find and prompting increased patrols for poachers. So, like, you know, I know of people who grow them just barely outside that 100-mile zone, but naturally, they don't grow outside that.
Right.
It takes, like, a lot of coaxing and, you know, just basically plant care to get them to
You know what else gets stolen a lot?
What?
Ginseng.
Ginseng is another big one. In fact, ginseng permits are up right now. And actually, I may have missed the date. Oops.
Didn't know that was a thing. So anyway, yeah, it's a felony.
Yeah.
If you basically remove them from public land or land held privately by another person, it's a felony in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And so this story corrects the status of the people accused to show the arrest warrants have been issued for them. Not that they have been arrested. So they've had warrants.
And you had shared like the succulents that were being stolen in California, and
yeah,
I was just amazed because like I watched that or I read that, and it was like,
no, we actually talked about it.
Yeah, and it was like at the end it was like a huge carload of these things.
Well,
you know?
and over time it's like millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So,
and
I mean, it makes sense. We've been to places where like, oh, would you like this little tiny succulent? That's $15.
yeah,
So imagine going out in the woods and just taking 100 of them.
yeah,
Whatever 100 times 15, that's how many you got.
yeah. And part of that, so like I'm really into a plant that grows in this area called ghost pipe. It grows in other areas as well. It's this weird cousin of the blueberry. Looks nothing like a blueberry, but it is stark white. And it grows up and it has like this little bluebell looking flower thing at the top.
And the ink becomes like indigo blue, which is, I think, pretty sweet.
As soon as you pick them, basically within hours, they turn like a bruised purple, blue, black color, and then they eventually turn black. Due to the popularity of them, about a decade ago, North Carolina really got worried because people were over picking them.
Yeah.
So now it's a highly controlled thing, much like the Venus flytraps. And there's so much out there that grows naturally, and just because you see a picture on Instagram and you want to pick it for yourself, there's a bunch of other people who saw that picture on Instagram trying to pick it, and you're causing problems to the ecosystem.
Yeah. There's a bunch of people who are like, I'm going to sell that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing. So the reason why I put this in here is because we did kind of talk about it, but it's a Venus flytrap. Man.
Yeah.
It's a meat-eating plant. It's very, very cool.
I mean, I tried to buy us one for Christmas one year. And
Oh, yeah. It pretty much died pretty quick, which is sad. So if we ever get another one, it needs to be, mistakes need to be corrected.
yeah.
So we'll just leave it at that. So speaking of giant things, here's what each state has that's bigger than any other state.
Oh.
And this is a link. And you can click on the link, and it's going to bring up a graph, like a picture for you to look at. And then you can figure out what each state has that's bigger than other states, right? It's by sizegraph.com. Yeah. So in Texas, what do you think that Texas has that's bigger than any other state? And if you're like, what are they talking about? It'll all become clear as we start rattling some of these off.
I don't know, because
diaper cake.
Bigger in Texas, and that is not the first thing I thought of.
Exactly. And you know what else is bigger in other? See, here's the thing. They don't label the states, so I don't know them all off the top of my head because there's states that I do care about and states that I don't care about.
The entire
Virginia,
Southwest.
Let's do Virginia.
Okay.
You know what the biggest, what Virginia has that's bigger than other states?
What?
It has prison breakout from death row. I guess they've had the biggest one. North Carolina.
Oh, wow. Mecklenburg County.
Yeah. We weren't going to dig that deep into it, so stop clickety-clacking away, and we'll be here forever talking about this
just threw me.
Vegetarian burger in North Carolina.
I'm not surprised by that one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Biggest living cat for South Carolina.
Nice.
What? Okay.
So Florida got the biggest ball of human hair.
I have a question. Is that Georgia?
Which one? The living cat?
Plate inserted in human skull. So in between living cat and...
Well, one of them has Testicle Festival. It's way up there, though. It's like, not Idaho. Whatever's next to Idaho. New Mexico has the largest collection of slinky toys.
But here's the thing.
I think this is Arizona that has the UFO convention.
That's what I was saying.
What UFO convention do they have? It's bigger than any other state. Because we've looked to go to events, and Arizona has not been one that had big, giant events.
The International UFO Congress.
Okay.
In downtown Phoenix, allegedly.
I mean, Roswell has a parade every year.
Yeah.
Colorado's got a hacker convention.
Wait, that's Colorado?
No, that's Nevada.
Okay, that's what I thought. Nevada's,
Colorado is like macaroni and cheese. They really should label these for us.
Yeah, the one that you're
public
talking
school
about,
kids.
The hacker convention, that's DEF CON that happens.
Yeah.
And that is one of the biggest ones in the United States. But Colorado's dog wedding ceremony is very interesting there.
Yeah.
Gathering of people with a mustache. That's all right. Whatever.
I think Rhode Island has a video game map made of Lego.
Alaska has the biggest cabbage.
Hawaii has lens and a lighthouse.
Well, that's understandable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nerf blaster.
It just says Nerf blaster. Tennessee has the largest gathering of people wearing duct tape.
Well, what's above Tennessee? Because they have a water balloon fight. Maybe it's protection
Kentucky.
against the water balloon fight. Is that Kentucky?
Yep.
I guess it is.
Yeah.
See, the text on the map obscures, some of the shape.
Yeah.
Fungus in Washington.
They do have one of the largest fungi and myco festivals in the country. Yep.
All right. Well, this is obviously not as funny as I thought it was going to be.
I am just amused, though, because like I said, like you were saying, at first I was really thrown off by the UFO convention thing. I didn't realize the International UFO Congress was in Arizona. I thought it was someplace else. Because right next to it is Roswell. You'd figure Roswell days would be bigger, but I guess it's not. And then, yeah.
Well, maybe it's just because the criteria is different.
Yeah.
Like Roswell's more of a parade type thing, like a city type parade.
And isn't it like a weekend long thing? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
The police department has a new patch though. We actually shared that on Facebook. It's pretty nice. I would totally buy that patch just because I think it's pretty cool. Have you seen it?
No.
When you check out our Facebook group, you go to
okay.
CreepGeeks, you can see it. It is pretty neat though. It's green and
Yeah.
It took a long time to actually get that patch in a JPEG form so I could basically post it. It's ridiculous. I'm like, what? So, because it's got protect and serve those that land here.
I don't.
Got a couple alien skulls or, alien heads. And it says Roswell Police and it has a Zia sun in the background for New Mexico in green. And it basically says protect and serve people who live here. It says police established 1891. It's in a badge shape.
You post that in the Facebook group?
Facebook page.
Okay.
Don't roll your eyes. Oh, you can't distinguish between a page and a group. Get out of here with that. I think I should have done both. If you just do CreepGeeks, if you go to the search doodad, it's in there. Well, it's the thing. Whenever I try to share anything with Facebook, I have to pick an account because it can't seem to remember the last one that I was all of a sudden. Otherwise, I could post it to my wildly unsuccessful Cheap Geek page with like 68,000 members or whatever it is. Yeah. Still haven't found it?
Yeah.
It's cool though, right?
I do like it.
But do you love it?
Honestly, I wish the lines were a little thicker on it.
So. Well, it's probably embroidered, so it's probably thick enough. I mean, if their uniforms, I think they're dark blue. Maybe I'm thinking of the state police. I don't know. I think it's pretty sweet. They embrace it though. But the R looks kind of cool. It's got a flying saucer in the center. But they embrace it, man.
Yeah.
They're like, heck yeah, come on down to Roswell. Because if we didn't have UFO stuff, nobody would show up here. I mean, they have an army or a military college or army college or whatever it is. But I mean, other than that, I mean, really, where did they get their tourism dollars? People passing through, going to the caverns. Depending on which way you come from. You got UFO stuff.
Well, they have some nice stuff around nearby.
Like what?
They have a planetarium. They have the Anderson Museum of Contemporary Art. Just outside of that, they have Pecos, New Mexico.
But why did that stuff show up there?
Well, the Anderson Museum of Contemporary Art was not there because of Roswell, so that's...
Well, when did that show up?
A long time ago.
Before the 40s? Or after the 40s?
The 90s.
Roswell.
No.
Absolutely. Alien stuff. You can scratch your face up all you know it's true.
The Pecos River has been there since before Roswell.
And nobody cared because there's other places to go that are more interesting because it's pretty boring on the way to Roswell, and it's also pretty boring after you leave Roswell until you get to the caverns because the Carlsbad Caverns are super cool. Like literally, it's chilly down there. Bring a sweater or shirt, sweatshirt. And you can check your dogs at the restaurant.
At Carlsbad.
Yeah. You can bring them in the back. Although, I don't know, that may have changed because of COVID. Who knows? But, yeah, you used to be able to check them. They put them in a cage and because they don't want you leaving the car because it's super hot there. Yeah. So you just put them in the back of a hot restaurant. And then your dogs are just super angry at you for leaving them for like 2.5 hours as you walk around in the cool. And you're like, hey, guys. And we're like, we're in a cage. You put us in a cage in a restaurant. Pepper was super mad. I'm pretty sure they were going to eat me. Get me out of the cage right now. And then she's like, if you don't put me down, I'm going to pee all over you.
And she peed.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was all right, though.
I forgave her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, hey, people, it does get hot. You know, like some people are like, well, I got my motorhome with the AC running. They're fine. And it's like, okay. Other dogs baking in the
I forgot
hot
about
car sun.
So, fun fact, near Roswell is Acme, New Mexico. I keep forgetting that. So, yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the strange death spell.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, I thought this was kind of interesting because we did talk about how in one of the last podcasts where on a police warrant was we need to look for evidence of paranormal. Mm-hmm. So they were searching, in a police warrant, you have to list what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And they put evidence of the paranormal. So we thought that was kind of cool. This is something that came up where it basically talks about a strange death spell scheme revealed in Kentucky murder for hire case.
Did you say scheme?
Yeah, scheme.
Scheme.
That's what I said. So, when I say stuff to be funny and then you corrected it, it makes it not funny.
Find other things to mispronounce.
Hey, you're fine.
You're not.
I'm totally fine. So anyway, in this Kentucky murder for hire case, some attorneys for the Kentucky woman who is accused of trying to have her ex-husband killed have revealed that their client initially considered a supernatural alternative in the form of a mystic who basically she enlisted a mystic to help her out, right? Mm-hmm. So the mystic was supposed to put a deadly curse on the husband.
Yeah.
And the weird plan was disclosed by lawyers who were representing Dr. Stephanie Russell, who was charged with the alleged murder for hire plot last year. So this is a doctor. And they were hoping to provide some insight into her mental state into the months leading up to the arrest. And so her attorneys filed in evidence a series of text messages between the woman and an unnamed spiritual healer wherein they discussed the proposed death spell.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so Russell was asking the mystic if she practiced evil magic and attempting to determine if her powers could be genuinely used to take out her ex-husband.
Oh, my goodness.
So magic really is not good or evil. It's how you employ it. But
yeah, but here's the thing. So, I found the other article because when you click on the first thing, it expects you to pay to read the article. So I found the other article where Russell had messaged the woman who described herself as a spiritual healer on the app called WhatsApp, asking for help to kill the man using supernatural means, according to the documents. The healer claimed her spells had an 85% death rate and it could work within 5 hours, according to the documents. Russell's defense team is filing these documents to show her state of mind.
yeah.
Okay, if you're finding
I mean, why didn't she use Facebook Marketplace? That'd probably be a better place.
Well,
probably
WhatsApp's owned by Meta, so.
Well, it is now. That's true.
And then here's the thing, 85% death rate.
It's pretty successful.
So you and I use another sale platform that starts with an M, and I come across stuff like this, and it's like 90% chance of like true love spell, and I'm just like,
I don't look for those things.
I know, but like when I search crystals, for some reason that shows up too. You know,
I don't
so I'm
really.
just like,
I'm searching for stuff like old technology that people think, oh,
yeah.
this must be gold.
But I'll search for like petrified wood or crystals or old fossils, and for some reason I'm getting like voodoo spell, 99.9% success rate.
Yeah. Well, evidently, she got seemingly irritated with the skeptical lines of questions. Right.
Yeah.
And then the mystic also boasted that her rituals had a remarkably specific success rate of 85%.
Yeah.
It said 5 hours, right? It's like, it's a death spell, my dear, not a love spell. So I expected to see something like this on Facebook Marketplace where somebody's like, come get this free TV. And then they get response like, is it still available? Yeah. Will you help me put it in my car? Will you help me set it up at my house? If this TV doesn't work, you're going to take it back and give me a refund? And people are like, it's free, man. No, I'm not doing any of that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So she proposed, Russell proposed paying after the dastardly deed had been done. However, the savvy psychic explained that she needed the cash up front and promised to make sure that her rituals came with a 100% money-back guarantee.
Oh, my goodness.
So ultimately, the deal fell apart when Russell was subsequently arrested 2 months later when she thought she was hiring a man to murder her husband.
Yeah.
And then the would-be killer turned out to be an undercover FBI agent. So.
Oh, wow. And the code word to regarding this alleged hit was Christmas flowers. So... have you delivered the Christmas flowers yet?
It's like because they couldn't use poinsettia.
Yeah.
Maybe because it was hard to spell.
Yeah. That's so bad.
Yeah.
But can you? Oh, I don't know. I've seen these spells and stuff like that on Etsy, Facebook Marketplace. I even see people on TikTok doing
eBay.
them out. But now I see them on TikTok as well. It's like, I'm doing a live reading of somebody's love life. Or let me do this birth chart.
Oh, yeah, I don't get those anymore because I immediately thumbs down them.
So
if you do that 1,000 times, they stop showing them to you.
Or watch me gather the ingredients for this love spell. That's been another one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll actually watch some of those because it's interesting, like what people do to build some of these spell kits. But that's with the intention that they're making you a spell kit and they're sending it off to you to do. These ones though, where it's like, I do a spell for you, I don't think they're, I don't know.
I really don't know what the difference is between the two.
Well, if you get sent a spell
You don't
kit,
need to explain it.
you know.
I get it. I'd be more interested in the guys that are in the rivers finding stuff. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you find like a phone or whatever.
Oh, I
And
like
sometimes
those
they find
too.
a random jar of like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, some people open it. Some people take it back up on shore and are like, hey, look at this. It's full of bones and hair.
Oh,
Ooh, it stinks. It's like, what are you doing, man? Somebody's sweet jar.
yeah, I was watching that too. Like some dude was going to collect graveyard dirt
Oh,
for
man.
a spell, and he came across somebody else's jar of graveyard dirt from a completed spell. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was going to put in the podcast. This was a week and a half ago, but I lost it and couldn't go back to it. I can't remember what YouTuber it is. It's a YouTube youngster. A really popular channel.
Yeah.
They bought some haunted objects. And dude's life, just one thing I feel has been falling apart.
Oh, my gosh.
To the point where he just broke down in his car on the side of the road doing a live. Saying, and laid out, because of this, and this, and this, and this, is there anybody that can come get this thing?
Yeah.
And I meant to save it so we could talk about it in the podcast.
Yeah.
And I of course, I scrolled, and I went to go back to it. Everything had changed, and I lost it. But yeah, it may have been on Instagram. I have to look, but it was kind of a funny turn of events.
Yeah.
I mean, not funny for him, but it was just like, there you go. Everybody thinks that stuff's, I think they bought a haunted doll. Everybody thinks that stuff's funny. until stuff starts happening. And it's not like you just like have a run of bad luck. People, they really notice it all of a sudden because it becomes, it's not like, oh man, I bought this haunted doll. I can't find my favorite pencil. Oh, I lost my lighter. Oh my, I can't find my knife. It was like my car is broke down. Yeah. We bought this car because the car, I got into an accident with the car.
Yeah.
So we got a new car and we got an accident with that car. And it was just like one thing after another to where I'm like, man, I would be thinking the same thing. That is pretty suspicious. Maybe we can figure it out before we end the podcast. We've been talking for an hour, but I did want to talk about one last thing.
Yeah.
And this is basically an article that came from Coast to Coast AM, written by Jeremy Wells. It's it talks about grays, like the gray aliens, right? I think it's called the ubiquity of the gray.
Yeah.
And I thought some of it was pretty interesting, and probably everybody knows about it. If you think about it, it kind of makes sense. If you ask most folks to draw an alien, you know what you're going to get: short guys, large heads, big eyes, right?
Yeah.
The eyes are solid black, that kind of thing. No nose, lips are really small, gray skin. And that's the common conception of the alien around most of the world, or at least it has been for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always the case. In the early 40s and 50s and on up into parts of the 60s, the stereotypical alien, or at least in the U.S., was a little green man from Mars, right, with antenna, right? Short stature, green skin, antenna, like the great Gazoo from the Flintstones.
Yeah.
Right. And so while the little green men dominated cartoon and television depictions of aliens, what those who encountered, I can't say UFOnauts, right? Saw was much different. So people that actually experienced these little aliens, they seen something different, right? So beings with some of the features would be associated with the gray alien, and they call it, and it basically stretched back to the 60s, but presumed occupants of the UFO craft remain a rather diverse lot up into the 70s and the 80s. Yeah. So people reporting seeing all sorts of different types or different looking aliens, right? But a few things happened that began to crystallize the image of the gray alien in the public mind. One of the first one was the Travis Walton incident.
Yeah.
And Travis Walton incident, I was going to put that in the podcast too, because we've spent some time hanging out with Travis a little bit. Because we did a bunch of conferences and stuff, and he was there and chatted with him, and he borrowed our Square payment system thing one time, and we've seen him like 6, 7 different times. And I was trying to find that footage too. This is sort of a thing. Remember how we went to go try to find the area where Travis Walton was?
Snowflake, Arizona?
Yeah, abducted, and we weren't successful, and so we wound up going to
because it's pretty much
Winslow, Arizona. Yeah, because it's not there anymore. From what we can see, that you can't really get to it, or it doesn't exist. But so we wound up instead going to Winslow, Arizona, and stood on a corner like the Eagle song after we ate Taco Bell.
Yeah,
in a murder parking lot. But yeah, so it kind of started with his incident, and it was in basically 1975, November 5th, 1975, when he was working with a crew of young men in Turkey Springs, Arizona.
Yeah.
Because they had a contract with the U.S. Forest Service, and as they left the woods, encountered what they described to be a UFO, and he got taken and became pretty much Travis Walton incident, right?
Yeah.
So he was gone for 6 days, and then he showed up and called his sister from a payphone on the 11th, and his story was widely carried in National Enquirer tabloid, and it sort of kind of got popular from there, really. So his case divided the opinion in the UFO community, and they thought it was a hoax. And I mean, you can watch Fire in the Sky, and there's other documentaries and stuff on it. He's done many interviews, right? Mm-hmm. And so his description is considered like one of the classic stories in the field of ufology. But his description sort of is to help establish what the idea of what an alien would look like. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the next big influence on the idea of what an alien would look like came from Steven Spielberg with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But the aliens got skinny, big heads, black eyes, long spindly arms and legs, right? And they weren't really short. They were taller, but they weren't really short. And it came in some different sizes. So, but the big thing was the solid black eyes, right? And so reports of the eyes became much larger and slanted, right? And prior to that film, witnesses to the UFO activity They said they're more likely that the eyes were more human-like, and basically how their arrangement of the iris and the pupil, the sclera, which is the whites of the eyes. And then some of the Walton aliens, for example, they had a short stature, oversized head, and the eyes were described as being, more depicted like human eyes as well.
I was also trying to look up the Hopkinsville goblins.
Yeah.
Because they're from like 1955. And one thing that luckily through history we've learned is, well, there was no original description of the color in the original accounts that I can find so far in the past 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But I do see a lot of like gray.
Yeah.
However, once the initial articles went out, newspapers, like news
entities,
made it to green.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was like, that fight, like you were saying, in the 40s, they were green, and now suddenly through the 60s, they start changing color.
Well, I think it's part of it. Yeah, but I think that's the part of what you're trying to read here with this article is that there had to be there's some influence.
Oh, the body gave off an eerie shimmer in the light of the night's moon as if made of silver metal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, little green men.
Yeah.
Flying saucer when it really wasn't a saucer.
Yeah, and
more of an ellipse shape type thing.
And like one of these people, their last name is like Green Lee, so it's like, even though they're describing silver metal alien,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So little green men, but the eye color thing I thought was pretty interesting. It went from humanistic eyes to basically a black.
Yeah.
And then you've got like communion.
Majestic.
Well, remember the book? Whitley Strieber's book, Communion, with the face.
Yep.
That thing didn't have human eyes.
No.
Yep. Had nightmare almond-shaped scary black eyes.
I was a little kid when that book was on my
pale
parents' bookshelf.
Black-eyed, thin-lipped, large-head alien.
That book cover gave me nightmares as a small kid.
Yeah.
So.
And then it says that by the time the X-Files rolled around in 1993, the type was set. Yeah. That's what aliens look like. Yeah. So they sort of morphed, right? From the little green men with antennas, a little short and stocky, to taller, spindly. The humanistic eyes that Travis had, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
He caught a lot of flack for that. As time went on, right, as his story aged with time, people started calling him, basically saying he was a fraud. Mm-hmm. They said he was a fraud in the beginning, then it sort of died down, but then they started saying, their eyes, you described his eyes as being humanoid. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, that's kind of human, because, yeah. And they were like, no, they're black. And it's like, wait a minute, are they? Yeah. So, how much does modern times and the retelling of the stories now as presented change the way people see descriptions of these sort of things?
Yeah.
So, it conforms to the expectations. And even Jacques Vallée basically said, when he was describing with Western, like pinheaded giants, and was replacing like the large dwarves. And
I'm going to meme this so hard because, okay, so.
UFO Chronicles of the Soviet Union is basically one of the books he puts out where he talks about why the expectations based on technology and popular opinion of the era changed, pretty much why these things get described the way they do.
The cultural shift, though, you got to think about the cultural shift around it, like what could seem more alien or more away from human but not quite human type thing.
Yeah.
And it goes back to me just saying a minute ago, like, I could meme the heck out of this with the whole, like, yet another unrealistic beauty standard.
Yeah.
That meme?
Yeah,
this is the same way.
Yeah, because the way some of these things were described, they were way more humanistic and became more alien as time went on. So did they really become more alien, or is it just the way our society's perception of an alien turned sort of morphed into this little scary thing?
Yeah.
Instead of being like, I'm a tall, spindly, ethereal, blonde-haired lady. Hey, I'm from Venus. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
Not like that anymore, man.
The Nordics or whatever.
Yeah. Even if you look at some of the movies that are out there with Independence Day, those things are super scary looking. It's even more changed now. Now aliens have multiple arms.
Yeah.
And big flat heads and weird eyes. And
more insectoid looking.
Yeah, so a kid growing up, what's the newer millennials? What do they call them?
Gen Alpha?
All right, whatever.
So
those dudes, let's not go through the whole list of like
Gen X,
boomers and then Gen X and then elder millennial, which is like a subset. It's like a subreddit.
Shut
other
up.
than-
I am not a subreddit.
Yeah,
I am valid. I am valid.
You know how many sections of Gen X there are? One, Gen X, because we don't care about anything else when it comes to trying to do a convention of category.
Anyways.
Nobody puts Gen X in the corner, right?
Millennial, Gen Z, and then Alpha Gen.
Elder millennial, and Zennials,
Zennials.
and perennials. Those are flowers.
That's the gardening center at
Yes.
Home Depot.
It's about time to start planting. We got an early spring going on, right? Yeah, so I don't know. It seems like for genetic research of the Greys, once we had our first test tube babies and regular instances of artificial insemination, advanced beings from another planet sort of changed by the idea of sex with aliens sort of changed because of stuff like that.
I also think that kind of morphed our perception of them. Like, I think that kind of helped shape, because you got to admit, it does look a little like preformed human fetus-y in some instances.
Yeah, but before that, it was more humanistic, where it was like a tall, ethereal blonde lady, a Nordic.
Yeah.
Or dude.
Or
whatever.
maybe, like, all these different species of alien are stopping by, and we just happen to have, like, you know, kind of like in the Men in Black movies,
That's
and
possible.
like half the books I read, there are many different types of aliens. Some look human, some don't. Some look like things we can't even imagine. So,
That's right.
Yeah.
Back in my day, the aliens didn't look like little pot-bellied, malnourished, big-head kids.
Shut up.
That's what they look like, right?
And
They had real eyes, not these black eyes you can't even see through.
back in my day, X-Files determined what your alien looked like. So,
Well, I think X-Files just cemented it because they were going off of what was already there
yeah.
and what, you know, the way it was, and which is more scary.
But X-Files also convinced me that praying mantis are from another planet. So,
Well,
I mean,
that's because they are.
yeah.
And reptilians. I mean, they brought out all that stuff. And I seen an article that I was going to put in the podcast where it pretty much downplayed everything about the X-Files
Oh, okay.
and turned it into like, it's just so funny. I'm like, well, you know what? That show is like the freaking Bible. If you like any of this stuff when it comes to the paranormal and conspiracies and Bigfoots and aliens and stuff, watch X-Files. Because they talk about all of it. And it's not like, you know, I mean, some of it's tongue-in-cheek and supposed to be funny, right? But a lot of it's not. Because Chris Carter was no idiot. He went through and researched all that stuff. And he had he talked to real people that really believed in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can find out a lot about the paranormal world from watching X-Files. So granted, it's a television show. You can say, well, none of that's real. Well, prove any of this is real. Please prove. I would love for somebody to prove something, right? But to sit there and discount it, it made me angry enough to where I started to click into the box that says leave a comment. And then it says, hey, if you want to leave a comment, you got to subscribe. And so I turbo trashed it and moved on. However, some of that stuff on X-Files, because I did rewatch the entire series, just like every night I'd watch 1 or 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what they talk about, a large chunk of what they talked about, is sort of the basis for a lot of what everybody today talks about.
Yeah.
It's the same. I'm like, wow, yeah, I heard of that. I seen that on X-Files. And some dude's on TV talking about the idea that the Russians had their own sort of diversionary program where they would capture somebody and then use little mental influencing to make them think that they were abducted.
Yeah.
And they would see one thing, and the Americans during the Cold War kind of had our own thing where they would do some mental influencing to make you think that you were being abducted by aliens. And there was an X-Files episode where somebody was going to be abducted, and they had, you know, the Soviet version of what you would see if you got abducted and the American version of what you see if you're going to be abducted. So one side was Sasquatch coming out of a UFO, and the other side was basically an alien gray. And the funny thing is that it was a story inside a story inside a story on X-Files. But that's from the 90s, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting. Probably not nearly as interesting if you've been listening to 1 hour and 14 minutes of our podcast, where we had some spirited debate.
We should probably do the Chris Carter. We should probably do a small segment on the whole Chris Carter, X-Files, Futurama, Simpsons thing eventually. So
Yeah, but why?
I don't know.
I don't want to mix them all together. It's a rabbit hole. The Simpsons have been accurately predicting the future for 23 years. Because then you got to talk about how most of the staff are actually like genius level people. And that most of the staff for Futurama are like scientists. You know what I mean? You have to like go into all that. And then you have to talk about Chris Carter and where he got his stuff from. I think, I don't know, it might be a thing. If you want to hear that sort of thing, let us know. It's a lot of work. Not saying we're not above a lot of work, but it's just, you got to know when to stop with the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Especially when the rabbit hole extends, 25 years? The Simpsons have been on for like over 20 years. It's got to be more than that, actually. It's probably
34 seasons.
Holy moly, man. Well,
1989.
Wow.
Yep.
What is that? 26 years? 25 years? Depending on when it came on? Well, if it's 1990, right? No, that's like 30 something. I don't know. Do some math real quick.
35 years. 35 years.
All right, I got to go.
Simpsons is going to turn 40 soon.
35 years. That's ridiculous. All right, well, anyway.
761 episodes.
That's too much. We got to go. All right, anyway, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. We do appreciate you taking time to listen to the podcast. We love everybody that shows up, and it's all a conspiracy. Everything's a conspiracy.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Pick one. That's what I thought. So anyway. All right, anyway, so see you guys later. Take it easy.
My silence was my answer there, y'all.
That's because you're like, which conspiracy can I be proven wrong on? Wait.
No.
That's the thing about conspiracies. Everybody's right, everybody's wrong. About the paranormal, everybody's right, everybody's wrong.
Yeah, but just in saying that,
on
making
Reddit,
that statement makes you right.
Or wrong, depending on what side. It depends how mad you are at me.
That's fallible.
If you're not mad, you think, yes, he's right. If you are mad at me, then, oh, he's wrong. See, that's how it all goes. It's just levels of anger, right? That's the thing. That's the whole part of it. If you love me, I'm right. If you don't love me, I'm wrong. Right? If you don't care, you've already scrolled on.
Toxic.
And that goes both ways. It's not toxic. It's how it is. It's toxic because you're losing. It's not toxic when you're winning. It's yin, yang, light, dark.
No.
Yes, it is. No. That's everything boils down to equal and exact opposites. Anyway, love you. See you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.